Dr. Thomas Carter stared at the ancient papyrus in his hands. His eyes narrowed as he deciphered the cryptic symbols, some of which were unlike anything he had ever seen. This could change everything, he muttered to himself. For years he dedicated his life to understanding the pyramids. But now, this discovery felt different. The thought gnawed at him. Were the pyramids truly built by the Egyptians, or was there something far older behind their creation? As he stood up from his desk, he paced back and forth in the dimly lit room, feeling both a surge of excitement and dread. He had found something dangerous, and now there was no turning back. The air felt heavy, as if the walls themselves were closing in, whispering warnings from the past. "I need to find the truth," he said, more to himself than anyone else. But with the truth came risks, secrets that had been buried for millennia. Was he prepared to face them? Dr. Carter's mind raced as he stepped out into the cold night air. The discovery he had made was unlike anything he could have imagined. What he had uncovered was a mystery older than the pyramids themselves, a truth that had been hidden away for millennia. The moment he stepped outside, the air seemed to change. It was as though the very land around him had shifted in response to his discovery. He felt a strange presence, as if the earth itself was watching him. The hum of the city faded away, replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to engulf him. It was at that moment that he first heard the voice, soft but distinct, whispering his name. "Thomas," it called. He froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He turned, but no one was there. The voice came again, clearer this time, as if it was coming from within him. "You know the truth, Thomas. Now it is time to unlock the secrets." His breath caught in his throat. Who, or what, was speaking to him? The whisper echoed in Dr. Carter's mind long after it had faded into the night. His heart raced, and beads of sweat formed on his brow as he paced back and forth. "What is this?" he muttered. Was it his imagination playing tricks on him, or was there something real behind the voice? He had heard rumors, stories about those who sought the truth of the pyramids, only to be driven mad by the voices from the past. The ancient texts spoke of lost civilizations, their wisdom lost to time but said to linger in whispers and signs. But what did it mean for him? Dr. Carter couldn't shake the feeling that the answers were within his grasp. Yet the more he uncovered, the more elusive they became. He rushed back inside, determined to continue his work. But the voice lingered, like a shadow at the edge of his thoughts. "Unlock the secrets," it repeated. Was it a warning or a summons? His fingers trembled as he reached for the papyrus once more. The next morning, Dr. Carter met with Professor Helen Bradford, an expert in ancient civilizations. She was one of the few who had dared to question the mainstream theories about the pyramids. "Thomas, you can't be serious about this," she said, her voice calm but concerned. "You're suggesting that there's more to these monuments than we've ever been told? You're chasing ghosts, my friend?" But Dr. Carter could see the flicker of curiosity in her eyes. "Helen, you don't understand," he said, leaning forward. "I found something that doesn't fit the narrative we've been told. The pyramids, they might not be what we think they are. They're older, much older, and there's a reason no one has dared to touch this subject." Professor Bradford hesitated, then sighed. "All right, Thomas, but if we go down this road there's no turning back. People have disappeared trying to uncover these secrets. You need to be prepared for what's out there." With Helen's reluctant agreement, they set out to investigate the clues Dr. Carter had found. The two of them stood in the library of an ancient university, surrounded by dusty bookshelves and scrolls from forgotten eras. Dr. Carter spread out the map, pointing to a location marked with the same symbol he had found earlier. "This," he said, "this is the place. It's not just the pyramids. There's something beneath them, hidden deep within the sands. A secret waiting to be uncovered." As they examined the map, Helen noticed something strange. "Look here," she said, pointing to a small, barely visible inscription on the map's edge. "It's a warning, written in a language that hasn't been spoken for thousands of years." Dr. Carter's heart raced as he deciphered the message. It says, To unlock the truth is to risk everything. Dr. Carter and Professor Bradford stood on the edge of the vast desert, their eyes squinting against the bright, blinding sunlight. The wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of sand and something older, much older. "This is where the map led us," Dr. Carter said, his voice full of both excitement and dread. "Somewhere under the sands, hidden for millennia." Helen glanced at the horizon, uncertainty in her eyes. "Are we really doing this, Thomas? We have no idea what's buried here." He nodded, determination setting in his face. "Whatever it is, we'll find it." They turned to the small crew of explorers and workers who had gathered around them. "Dig carefully," Dr. Carter instructed. "What we uncover here could change everything." As the workers began to dig, the air grew thick with anticipation. What lay beneath the sand was no longer just a mystery. It was a revelation waiting to happen. Hours passed with nothing but sand and the relentless desert heat. Just as the team began to lose hope, one of the workers shouted, "I found something." Dr. Carter rushed over, his heart pounding. Beneath the layers of sand, a large stone slab had been uncovered. It was ancient, its surface weathered by time, but unmistakably marked with intricate carvings. The workers carefully cleared away the remaining sand. This isn't just any tomb," Dr. Carter muttered, running his fingers over the stone. The carvings depicted images of creatures, gods, and structures that didn't belong in Egypt. "What does it mean?" Helen asked, leaning over his shoulder. Dr. Carter didn't answer immediately. He was too transfixed by the symbols. Something about them felt wrong, as if they were warning him. "I don't know yet," he said. "But we're about to find out." As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the desert, Dr. Carter carefully examined the slab. "This is a language I've never seen before," he said, his voice low and tense. "But it's definitely ancient. Older than anything we've found so far." Helen looked on, feeling the weight of the discovery. "What do you think it means?" she asked. "I can't decipher it completely," Dr. Carter admitted. "But these symbols, they're connected to something much bigger than the pyramids, something that predates even them." He stood up, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We need to get this back to the lab. Only then will we have the full picture." The weight of the discovery was heavy on his mind. The sand beneath them seemed to be hiding more than just a relic. It was hiding the truth of an entire lost civilization. Back at their temporary camp, the evening was filled with the distant sounds of workers preparing for the night. But Dr. Carter couldn't shake the unease that had settled in his stomach. The stone slab with its strange carvings gnawed at him. He couldn't focus. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the symbols. The wind outside howled against the tents, and for a moment, it sounded like voices. Whispers. "Am I losing my mind?" he asked aloud, standing up abruptly. Helen, who had been reading over some of the other findings, looked up with a concerned expression. "What's wrong?" she asked. "The wind," Dr. Carter muttered, his voice shaking slightly. "It sounds like voices." Helen narrowed her eyes, standing up and walking over to him. "Thomas, there's nothing out there. Just the wind." But Dr. Carter couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. Not anymore. The next morning, Dr. Carter felt no relief from the unease that had plagued him the night before. The team had packed up and was ready to transport the stone slab back to the lab. But as they gathered their equipment, a chilling discovery was made. One of the workers was missing. Panic spread quickly among the group. "Where's Marco?" Helen asked, looking around. Dr. Carter's heart skipped a beat. "He was supposed to be in his tent this morning," he said, his voice low. The group searched the camp, but Marco was nowhere to be found. "He's gone," Dr. Carter muttered, staring out into the vast desert. He knew something was wrong. Deep in his gut, he felt that whatever they were uncovering, it wasn't meant to be found. And now, it was taking its toll on the team. As Dr. Carter stepped deeper into the pyramid, he could feel the weight of history bearing down on him. The air grew thick with an energy that made his skin prickle. The carvings on the walls seemed to whisper, drawing him in. He ran his fingers over the ancient stone, each mark telling a forgotten story, each symbol a puzzle waiting to be solved. He knew he was on the verge of uncovering something monumental. The further he walked, the more it felt like the pyramid was alive, its presence watching him closely. A strange humming sound reverberated through the air, almost like a heartbeat. He paused, trying to locate its source, but the sound seemed to come from all directions, echoing off the stone walls. His thoughts raced, but the mystery was overwhelming. Was this an ancient power waiting to reveal itself? Or was it something darker, something the world was never meant to know? In the distance, a faint glow beckoned him forward. It was subtle at first, like a distant star, but it grew stronger with each step he took. Could this be the answer he'd been searching for? He had to know, even if it meant uncovering truths that might break everything he thought he understood about history. Dr. Carter's heart raced as he approached the glowing light. His footsteps echoed through the silent chamber, the humming sound now louder, vibrating in his chest. The light seemed to pulse, as if alive, drawing him closer to its source. He rounded a corner and stopped dead in his tracks. What he found was beyond anything he had expected. Behind a stone wall, partially hidden by centuries of dust and decay, lay an entrance. The stone was old, worn with time, but still strong. The glow emanated from within, as if the chamber itself was hiding something profound. Dr. Carter felt his pulse quicken. This was it, the discovery he had been waiting for. The secrets of the pyramids were within his reach. But as he reached out to touch the stone, something changed. The air grew colder, and the ground beneath him shifted, sending a chill up his spine. The humming sound grew louder, almost deafening, and the light flickered. Dr. Carter hesitated, unsure of what he might unleash. But he had come this far. He pressed his hand against the wall, and it moved. A door opened silently, revealing a dark passageway. Inside the hidden chamber, Dr. Carter's eyes widened at the sight before him. In the center of the room, resting on a stone pedestal, was an artifact unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a small, intricately carved tablet, glowing with a faint blue light. The carvings on the tablet matched those on the pyramid walls, but their meaning was still a mystery. The humming sound grew softer, replaced by a faint whisper that seemed to come from the artifact itself. Dr. Carter stepped closer, his breath catching in his throat. He had seen many relics in his career, but nothing like this. It was as if the artifact was calling to him, urging him to uncover its secrets. His fingers brushed against it, and the room seemed to shift. A wave of energy passed through him, and for a moment he felt as if he was not alone. The whispers grew louder, becoming a voice in his mind. "Know the truth, but be ready for the cost," the voice echoed, its tone chilling. Dr. Carter stumbled back, his heart pounding. What had he just unlocked? What price would he have to pay for the truth? As Dr. Carter stepped back from the artifact, the air in the chamber grew thick with an overwhelming presence. The whispers became louder, more insistent, until they filled his mind completely. The voice was not just a sound, it was a feeling, a pressure against his very consciousness. He could not escape it. "You have touched the heart of the pyramid," the voice said, its tone reverberating in his bones. "You now know the truth, but with knowledge comes responsibility, and with responsibility comes sacrifice." Dr. Carter's head spun as the weight of the words hit him. The voice was not a person. It was something older, something tied to the very fabric of the pyramid. His mind raced as he tried to comprehend what was happening. The voice spoke again, this time more clearly. "The pyramids are not just tombs. They are guardians, keepers of a knowledge too dangerous for mankind. You have awakened what was meant to remain asleep." His heart sank. What had he done? The room grew colder, and Dr. Carter's breath became visible, hanging in the air in front of him. The voice, now more insistent, spoke again. "You sought the truth, but you must now face the consequences of your discovery." His mind raced as the walls seemed to close in on him. Every part of the pyramid felt alive, watching him, waiting for him to make his next move. He had always believed that the truth was the key to understanding, to unlocking the mysteries of the past. But now, in the face of this power, he realized that some truths were better left hidden. The pyramid had revealed its secrets to him, but at a cost he could not yet comprehend. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony in his mind. He could feel the weight of the pyramid's knowledge pressing against him. The voice spoke for the last time. "You will be the one to carry the burden, Dr. Carter. The truth has been revealed, but at a price you will regret." With those final words, the room plunged into darkness, and Dr. Carter's heart pounded in his chest. The weight of the truth was more than he could bear. The price of knowledge was heavier than he had ever imagined. Dr. Carter stood frozen in the darkness, the weight of the pyramid's secrets heavy on his mind. His pulse raced as he tried to make sense of the voice's last words. The room had grown cold, and his breath came in shallow gasps. The air itself seemed to tremble with a force beyond his understanding. Suddenly, the glow from the artifact flickered, revealing a faint outline of a hidden passageway. It was barely visible, like the pyramid was reluctant to reveal another secret. Carter approached cautiously, his footsteps echoing loudly in the silence. The narrow corridor stretched before him, darker than the chamber he had just left. He hesitated, knowing that whatever lay beyond would only bring him closer to the truth, or closer to his undoing. With a deep breath, he stepped forward. The walls seemed to close in around him as he descended into the depths of the pyramid. The closer he got to the end of the passage, the more oppressive the air became. A sense of foreboding filled his chest, but the need for answers pushed him onward. As Carter ventured deeper into the passage, he began to feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, almost as if the pyramid itself was watching his every move. At the end of the passage, a large stone door loomed before him, adorned with intricate symbols and carvings that seemed to tell a story of warning. His hand trembled as he reached for the door, the cold stone sending a jolt of fear through his body. Before he could push it open, the voice spoke again, louder this time, a low growl that vibrated through his bones. "The truth you seek comes with consequences. Do not enter, for once you cross the threshold, there is no turning back." Dr. Carter paused, his heart racing. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to leave the pyramid, and never look back. But something deeper inside him urged him forward. He had come too far to stop now. With a deep breath, he pressed his palm against the stone, and the door slowly creaked open, revealing what lay beyond. Beyond the door, Dr. Carter found himself standing in an enormous chamber, larger than anything he had encountered so far. The walls were lined with rows of ancient tablets, their surface inscribed with complex symbols and texts that seemed to shift as his eyes moved over them. A faint blue light illuminated the chamber, emanating from a central pedestal at the far end. On the pedestal rested a large glowing crystal. It was unlike anything Dr. Carter had ever seen, pulsating with an energy that felt almost alive. The voice returned, more insistent than ever. "This is the heart of the pyramid, the source of its power. What you see before you is the culmination of a knowledge older than time itself. It has been guarded for millennia, and now it is yours to understand." But as Carter stepped closer to the pedestal, he felt the room shift. The air grew thick, and the walls seemed to close in on him, narrowing the space until he was suffocating. The voices grew louder, a cacophony of whispers that filled his mind with confusion. What had he just unlocked? What was the cost of this discovery? Dr. Carter reached out, his fingers grazing the surface of the crystal. The moment his skin made contact, a surge of energy flooded his body. The world around him seemed to collapse, twisting and warping, as though reality itself was unraveling. Visions flashed before his eyes, images of ancient civilizations, long-lost cultures, and terrible forgotten truths. But then, something changed. The vision became darker, more sinister. Carter saw his own face, twisted in agony, as the pyramid's secrets consumed him. He felt the weight of centuries of hidden knowledge pressing down on him, suffocating him. The voice spoke once more, its tone colder, darker. "The price has been paid. The truth comes at a cost, Carter. You will carry this burden forever. There is no going back." Dr. Carter staggered back, the energy from the crystal still coursing through him. His mind reeled from the overwhelming flood of information. He had uncovered the truth, but what had he sacrificed in the process? Carter stumbled back, his head spinning as the room slowly returned to normal. The crystal's glow dimmed, but its presence still lingered in his mind. The weight of the knowledge he had just unlocked threatened to consume him. He had sought the truth, but now that he had it, it felt like a curse. He couldn't escape the images, the civilizations that had risen and fallen, the secrets they had buried, and the truth that had been hidden for so long. The pyramid had been a prison, a guard to the knowledge that had destroyed those who had sought it in the past. Now he was its keeper. The voice echoed one last time. You now carry the truth. It will never leave you. The price has been paid. As Carter stood there, alone in the chamber, he realized that there was no going back. The pyramid had given him its secret, but at the cost of his peace, his sanity, and his future. Dr. Carter's mind raced as he paced around the chamber. He could feel the weight of the truth pressing down on him, making it hard to breathe. The pyramid had not just been a monument, it was a prison, a tomb of secrets that spanned millennia. The crystal's energy had unlocked something that had been buried deep within him. He realized now that his journey was not just about the pyramids, but about something much larger, the hidden connection between human civilization and ancient, unseen forces. The whispering voices had been right. The knowledge was not meant to be uncovered. Yet he had done it. He gripped the stone wall beside him, feeling the cold surface beneath his fingers. What have I unleashed? He muttered, knowing there was no turning back. The pyramid was not just an artifact of the past, it was a weapon, and it had been calling him for a reason. As Dr. Carter stood there, the ground beneath him trembled. It was faint at first, like a distant rumble of thunder, but then it grew stronger, reverberating through the chamber. The walls seemed to shudder, as though the pyramid itself was alive, reacting to the disturbance. The crystal's glow intensified, casting an eerie light over the room. Suddenly, the stone tablet closest to Carter cracked open, revealing an inscription that had been hidden for centuries. It was in a language he couldn't understand, but its presence sent a chill down his spine. He backed away, feeling a growing sense of dread. The pyramid was reacting to him, to the knowledge he had unlocked. What had seemed like an academic pursuit had now turned into something much darker. He had to leave, but the pyramid wouldn't let him go. The voice returned, louder and more insistent than before. It echoed through the chamber, reverberating off the stone walls. You have awakened the ancient ones, Carter. You have disturbed the balance. The pyramid has chosen you to reveal the truth, but at a cost. You are now bound to us, and there is no escape. The knowledge you seek will be your undoing. The voice paused, as if savoring Carter's growing fear. Do you understand now? The truth was never meant for human eyes. You were never meant to find it. Carter stood frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. The walls seemed to close in on him as the voice's words twisted his mind. He had been too eager, too obsessed with uncovering the truth. Now, the cost of his actions was becoming painfully clear. As the voice faded, a new presence filled the room. From the shadows emerged a figure, tall and imposing, their face obscured by a hood. Dr. Carter's breath caught in his throat as the figure stepped into the light. It was someone he recognized, a colleague from the university, Dr. Alexander Blackwell. But there was something different about him. His eyes gleamed with an unsettling intensity, and his smile was twisted in a way that didn't belong. You've done well, Carter, Blackwell said, his voice cold and calculated. But now the real work begins. Carter's heart raced as the realization hit him. Blackwell wasn't just a colleague, he was the one who had been manipulating him all along. The secrets Carter had uncovered were never meant to be shared. Blackwell had been orchestrating everything, using Carter as a pawn in a game far darker than he had ever imagined. Dr. Blackwell stepped closer, his eyes never leaving Carter's. You wanted to uncover the truth, but you've only scratched the surface. There is so much more to this pyramid than you can ever imagine. It holds power. Power that we can control. Carter felt his stomach drop. Blackwell's words were not those of a colleague, but of someone who had been consumed by the pyramid's secrets. Carter had opened the door, but Blackwell was now the one who would walk through it. "You're a fool if you think you can control it," Carter said, his voice shaking with fear and anger. Blackwell's smile widened, his eyes gleaming with dark intent. "Oh, Carter, you have no idea what's at stake. The pyramid's secrets are not just for us, they are for the world to wield. And now that you've revealed them, it's time for you to fulfill your part." Carter stumbled back as Blackwell's words hit him like a sledgehammer. The pyramid was not just an artifact, it was an entity, a force that had been manipulating the course of history. Carter had unknowingly unleashed its power. The ground shook violently, and a deep rumble filled the chamber. The crystal's glow intensified, casting unnatural shadows across the walls. Carter realized too late that this wasn't just about knowledge. It was about control. And now, it was out of his hands. Carter dashed toward the exit, his heart pounding. He had to get out before it was too late. The air felt thick, heavy, as though the pyramid itself was trying to keep him inside. The walls, once firm, now seemed to shift. Behind him, Blackwell's voice echoed, "There's nowhere to run, Carter. You've already started something that can't be undone. The truth is far more dangerous than you realize." Carter reached the chamber's exit but found it sealed shut. Blackwell's form loomed in the doorway, blocking his escape. "You're not leaving," he said coldly. "The pyramid chose you, and now you must finish what you started." The air crackled with energy, and Carter realized there was no way out. He had to confront the power he had awakened. Blackwell stepped forward, his hand reaching toward the crystal. "The pyramid doesn't just hold the truth, it holds power. And now, it's mine to control." Carter's heart raced as Blackwell's hands glowed with an otherworldly light. The crystal pulsed in response, as if recognizing its new master. Carter had come too close to the truth. And now, he had to decide whether to let Blackwell succeed or risk everything to stop him. Carter stepped forward, his voice steady despite the overwhelming fear. "You're wrong, Blackwell. This isn't about control, it's about understanding. And if you think you can control it, you'll only be consumed." With that, Carter reached for the crystal. The room erupted in blinding light, and for a moment, everything went still. The pyramid's energy surged through Carter, overwhelming his senses. He felt the weight of centuries pressing down on him, the ancient knowledge flooding his mind. But as the power enveloped him, a sharp, cold voice cut through the haze. "You've unlocked what was never meant to be discovered, Carter," Blackwell said, his tone dark and final. "Now, you must bear the consequences." Carter's vision blurred, and memories not his own flooded his mind. The ancient civilization, the first builders of the pyramids, their rise and fall, and the forbidden knowledge that had been buried with them. The truth wasn't just about the pyramids. It was about the price of seeking forbidden power, a price Carter now had to pay. "Do you understand now, Carter?" Blackwell's voice echoed in the chamber. "The pyramid was never a monument. It was a prison. And now you've become part of it." Carter staggered as the full weight of what he had uncovered hit him. The pyramid wasn't just a structure, it was alive, and it had chosen him as its new keeper. Carter faced the hardest choice of his life: accept the pyramid's power and be consumed by it, or destroy the secret he had uncovered and risk his own life in the process. Blackwell stepped closer. "You can't destroy it. No one can. It's too late for that." Carter made his decision. "I'll break the cycle," he whispered as the pyramid's energy surged around him. He stepped toward the heart of the pyramid, determined to end the curse once and for all. The light blinded him, and for a moment, the world fell away.